you. But one thing I've done is that I have adopted the philosophy that there's no such thing as losing. I mean, we know that there are challenging days. We know there are pitfalls. I don't even like to use the word pitfalls. There are little side steps. There are little snags and bumps in the roads. But in my vocabulary and in my thinking, there's no such thing as losing. And since I've really embraced that, I always win somehow or another.
Fabulous. I think it's an absolutely fabulous philosophy. I would agree with you 1,000%.
So in essence, we do create the reality based on what we choose to embrace and what we also choose to dismiss on a negative level. Is that true? Okay, you faded out there a little bit, but I think that was our equipment malfunction. I need you to answer that question again.
I think that that's a great philosophy, and I think that's a great way of living your life. You know, everything that's out there, that's why I said earlier, you cannot blame it on anybody else. If you would have been somewhere, if you should have had this job, or you should have won, or you should have been there instead of somebody else, you would have been. It's not your way. It's kind of like a person, you know, there's a sample I've used many, many times, and maybe you've heard this one, but say you want a red Porsche all your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you finally, you do everything you can, you finally get that red Porsche, and you have a horrible accident, you wind up maimed for life. Was it worth having that red Porsche? You know, and people say, oh my God, I don't have enough money for a red Porsche, I wish this, I wish that. You know, maybe it's a good thing you didn't get it. I also like to use that example of the school teacher that was chosen to go up on the Challenger. Remember the Challenger space shuttle that blew up? Think about when that teacher was chosen. Think about the teachers who were not chosen. How many went home and beat themselves up because they weren't good enough, they didn't get on that space shuttle, blah, 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 blah. And look what happened to the one who was chosen. She lost her life. And then how many teachers said, geez, I'm glad I wasn't chosen. Maybe there was a reason. You know, so there's a reason why your life goes as it is. You set it up for a particular way. If something doesn't go the way you think about it consciously, the way it should go, there's a reason. When you're in alignment, self, oversoul, God, mind, and you look at it from the oversoul level, from the God, mind level, if it doesn't go the way you think it should go, then you say to your oversoul or God, mind, explain to me why it didn't go that way. And they'll say, well, you know, there are challenges on down the road you're not ready for, or they're not meant for you.
Right.
Quit beating yourself up. You recognize, like what you're saying, I'm always in a win-win position.
Mm-hmm. And for any shortcoming, it's always a lesson to be learned.
I don't believe in shortcomings.
Right. Okay.
It's where you are at that time.
Okay.
Now, it makes life a lot easier because then you have nothing to beat yourself up for. There are no shortcomings in my life. I've got a lot of things to learn. I've got a lot of room to grow. And I acknowledge that because how deep is God mind? How wide is the God mind? And I'm in here exploring the infiniteness of it all. So yes, I have so much to learn, and I'm grateful for the learning. It's entertaining. It challenges me. It keeps me youthful and vital, and it keeps my mind strong and active. Bring the challenges on. Give me the mountains to climb. I'll climb that mountain because I'm stubborn and I'm interested. So therefore, I'm moving.
Right. Amen to that. Well, we have about 5 minutes left in our program in this tremendous hour that we spent discussing this magnificent topic. Now, with things being as they may appear to be, I'm going to use that word instead of as they are, but as they appear to be, how are we moving forward? How can we deal with or dismantle this reality that seemed to be pervasive in our political system, in our political apparatus, in our society, in our economy? You know, what good advice could you give the listeners in terms of how we can move forward in dismantling this reality? Because all of this is predicated on a reality, like you mentioned at the offset of this program, a facade of a reality that's been given to us. What can we do moving forward, Janet, to remove the cards from this house of cards?
I'm going to give your listeners a very simple assignment to do. That's going to make all the difference in the world. I want each of your listeners, when they're done with this show, to go into their home, and I want them to find some place of clutter in their home, and I want them to clean it out. It could be a drawer, it could be a desk, it could be a closet, it can be a corner, it could be a magazine basket. All those things represent the clutter in their mind that's holding clutter in this reality. And if all your listeners would start cleaning up their own space, that's going to begin cleaning up their mind. It's going to clean up their body. It's going to clean up their soul. And that effect is going to ripple out into the universe, and that's going to make a change. And believe it or not, how simple that is, that's the first assignment. The second one is do something different. Don't park in the same parking space. Choose a different one. Shop from a different spot in the store. Go to a different store. Do something different. Begin to shake up their reality, because that, believe it or not, those simple little things, those two things they can do is going to make a difference in their life, because it's going to change the way their brain works. It's going to open themselves to different possibilities, and when that happens, things are going to change and click, and they're going to grow. Simple as that.
Very simple, and I agree with that. I know exactly where you're coming from, because several times we run into a situation where we need to do, we call it shedding.
Oh, that's a good, I like that term. Very good.
You know, we shed, and you, I mean, you look as a dog will shed its winter coat or whatever it may. There are times where we need to continuously be shedding, particularly our space and our areas, because it does affect our overall the way we think.
That's right. Empty out that glass, make room for some more.
Yep. I mean, I cleaned up my audio table before this interview, and that's probably the reason why this interview has come out so magnificent. So
that's absolutely. I agree with you. I do the same. I get frustrated. I start cleaning up. I don't know where to start. I go back to those basics. And I'm going to tell your listeners, if they want two books that will change their life, Hyperspace Helper and Decoding Your Life, those two books will change your life, because these are simple, basic tools. You take them wherever you go. And when I get frustrated, as many years I've been in this work, I get frustrated and I go to the basics. I'll go clean. I'll go do something different. Basic will make all the difference in the world.
Well, we're going to spend the final 2 minutes, Janice, talking about your work. We've mentioned your site before. Your site is linked to our blog page, which is expansions.com. But first, you have some events coming up. I think your next event, which is also posted on your site, is in the south of France. Tell us about that seminar that's going to be taking place out there.
An absolutely fantastic, magnificent opportunity for people. My lineage is the Mary Magdalene frequency through the Waldensians. I'm not going to take our 2 minutes up to talk about the Waldensians, but there are a lot of people who are listening to this show who have that, and it's an opportunity for you to go in and explore color, tone, and archetype in the true Mary Magdalene lineage in the south of France coming up the middle of June. It's a fantastic trip. I also have the second weekend in August, my personal intensive, which is called Self-Challenge. Part of that will take place on a challenge course here in southwestern Michigan, which is a fabulous vacation spot, believe it or not. It's magnificent. Stewart will be taking a group to Bolivia in August as well, and he will be visiting UFO bases that are not available to the general public, that only the locals know about. We have always free information on our site. We have lots of wonderful DVDs and books. We have all kinds of links to products that we personally use and recommend. We have something for everybody, because Stewart and I are very creative, and we are very much into self-exploration, which we share with other people. Tools that have helped us, you take them, you use them, you personalize them, you turn them around, and you teach us. We're always happy to learn and grow.
Well, I could tell you, I can't begin to explain of how your work has helped me, since I really got into the circumference of it. But I certainly encourage our listeners, go to that website, expansions.com. There's a lot of materials. You have things such as color therapy as well as health products. The DVDs and books are second to none. You have to get your hands on these books. And then also you'll look at the events coming up. And we are certainly trying to get a show for Stewart and Janet here on the Community Listening Network. So we're still working on that, and that's hopefully down the road in the very, very near future. Well, Janet, we thank you for being with us. We're out of time, and we certainly thank our listeners for joining us for this session of the Investigators Report. As always, we encourage you to join us for our next session, but until that time, may the God of the universe bless you. We'll see you next week. You've been listening to the Investigators Report, which is a regular feature of this station and is produced by Garinger Research and Investigations. For more information on this program and for upcoming programs, and to even listen to past programs in our archives, be sure to log on to our blog page at theinvestigatorsreport.blogspot.com. That address again is theinvestigatorsreport.blogspot.com. Well, we trust you enjoyed this informative and provocative program. and we urge you to join us next time for our next session of the Investigator's Report right here on the Community Listening Network.